What I want to encourage you to do is to embrace that challenge. Embrace it. And just accept this is what it is today, and accept that you and God are enough to face it. So accept the challenge. Hello and welcome to Your Voice of Awakening with Martin K. Tolohi. It is a pleasure to be here with you today as we share heart to heart on what I believe will be very revolutionary concerning you fulfilling your life purpose, your goals, and your assignments. Now, if you do have goals like we all do, you will agree with me that on the journey to accomplishing and doing what you believe you've been called to do, there are challenges on that path. And I often like to say that there is no challenge-free path in life. Everything you choose to do, you will find one challenge or another. In fact, it is Aristotle that says the obstacle is the way. And I believe that strongly. No matter what you choose to do, there will always be a challenge or two. But it is the brave that decide to choose to keep going no matter what they are faced with. And then once you prove yourself through those challenges, then you win your goal as a prize and as a trophy and as a credence to the effort you've put in. Now, when I talk about this issue around challenges on the path of achieving your life goal and your life purpose, there is a story I often like to tell. It is the story of Shuichiro Honda, the founder of Honda Corporation. It was said that how he set out to create his own life dreams. He started by trying to produce piston rings for Toyota Corporation as a young student. He made all the effort to produce piston rings for Toyota, and his classmates will laugh him to scorn because of the absurdity of his designs and all of that. But eventually he did. And then he would go on to producing motorcycles, and from motorcycle he began to produce cars. And today we understand that he's employing thousands across the globe. But the story of Shuichiro Honda is not a happy part. It's not a sunny day. But he had his own rainy day and challenges along the way. There was a time when he lost all his resources and he had to pawn his wife's jewelry in order to continue to invest in his dream. There was a period when also the factory he's built, there was an earthquake that leveled everything down. He will go back to rebuild again, and today it is a testimony as to what can happen when someone decides to face or choose to take on his challenges. There is another character in the scripture by name Jeremiah, just like Shuichiro Honda, having to conquer his own challenge in order to actualize his life goals, his life dream, and his life purpose. Jeremiah, in his own case, had an understanding of what he believed God wanted him to do with his life. And at a very young age, he got an understanding that he had a message to the nations. And with the message he had to the nation, he believed he was to speak, but he saw the time in which he lived. It was a time that people were opposed to the concept, the idea, and the ideology, and the message he has been given. And he felt intimidated by that message and by that concept and by that condition and the circumstances. And so in that period, he will have an encounter, an epiphany with God. And God said to him, "What do you see?" And with the dialogue he had with God, three things came out. And these, I believe, will be three keys that can help you and I, just like Shuichiro Honda overcame his own challenges, for you to overcome your challenge and then create the life you have been given, or the life you have conceived, or the goals you have ahead of you. The first thing that we see is the fact that challenges come to everyone in life. If you are doing anything that is worth its salt, you will face some resistance. But when you press through those resistance, you embrace the challenges, you realize that you find the wherewithal and the capacity to be able to overcome them. So my first encouragement to you today. I don't know what you might be going through. What I want to encourage you to do is to embrace that challenge. Embrace it. And just accept this is what it is today, and accept that you and God are enough to face it. So accept the challenge. A second thing we saw with Jeremiah was the fact that he had a choice to make. And in the process of communicating with God, he had a choice to make. His choice will influence his action, and his action will eventually bring about him accomplishing his goal. Just like Shoshiro Honda had his own experience. He had his challenges, he embraced those challenges, he made the right choices, and sometimes when you make your choices, they may not always be right. Let's face it. You will make some choice, but the important thing is to keep choosing to go forward. If you keep choosing to face your challenge, you realize that you will eventually conquer them. You might have a bruise here and there, a scar here and there, but you realize that there is a survival instinct in you that will take you through whatever challenge you might have to go through for you to come over and on top of that situation. So, the point here is this: challenges comes to everyone. If you have a goal, if you have an aspiration, if you have something you are pursuing, it will at some point come up against some resistance. But the thing is to embrace those resistance, like it is said, the obstacle is the way, and then choose to keep going until you conquer your challenge. And the last thing I want to drop with you is, for me, the root of every conquest, is the root of every success, is the root of you coming over every challenge you might come across on your path. Remember, I said there is no challenge-free path anywhere in the world. You may come across challenges, but there is something built inside of you to overcome that challenge. So the first thing is to embrace your challenge. The second thing is to choose to overcome the challenge. Make up your mind. Choose that you're going to see the end of this challenge, no matter what it might be. And lastly but not least, choose your conclusion carefully. Choose your conclusion carefully. Now, what we call experience is only things happening around us based on our perspective. A conclusion is certain things that happen around us and we perceive them in a particular way, and our perception then becomes our conclusion. And that's why I say to people to be careful about the conclusion they arrive at the things that are happening in their lives. For instance, somebody might be going through a pressure period. A stressful time at work, a time when there's a lot of demands on your time, on your energy at work, around your home, and then, because you are stretched on every side, you feel you don't have the resources to give, and you feel overwhelmed, and then that sense of being overwhelmed kind of beclouds your judgment, and it might make some people to resolve that, well, they just cannot keep going. Or sometimes some things happen to people, negative things happening in the middle of situations, and then unconsciously we arrive at certain conclusions. Or people go through some level of rejection in some places, and then they kind of conclude this is how life is. Life is cruel, life is hard, people can't be trusted. And I see, this is where I tell people to be careful as to the conclusion they arrive at. Okay, Jeremiah had his own conditions. He saw a very negative world, a world that was not receptive to the message he's been given to deliver. You see, somebody might be seeing a negative turn in the market to the product you are introducing to the market. Just about the time you are entering to the market to deliver your product, you realize the market is taking a downturn. Now, this is where you need to be careful about your conclusion. Just like Shoshiro Honda was careful to review his goals, his aspirations, his product, his market strategy, and was able to eventually build the corporation he had envisioned and conceived from the beginning, rising over and above his own challenge, only because he had the right perspective. So your conclusion is your perspective. Now, Jeremiah was asked in Jeremiah 1 and verse 11, he said, moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Jeremiah, what do you see? And I, Jeremiah, said, I see a rod of an almond tree. Then said the Lord unto me, you have seen well, for I will hasten my word to perform it. What is the significance of this? Now, the almond tree is seen as a tree that blooms at the earliest part of the year. And so he saw an emblem of quick performance. He saw an emblem that things will sprout and there will be result again. And so God said to him, what you've seen, your perspective is right. Perception, conception, and conclusion. You see, when your perception, your perspective affects your conclusion. So I will say and encourage you today that as you go through the seasons of life, as you go through this particular season of life, and you look into the future, and you are concentrating on your goals and your aspirations, don't let the challenges becloud the glory that is behind that challenge. There is a silver lining behind every cloud. The rainbow will come again. That's why Job, in Job 22 verse 29 says, when men are saying there's a casting down, I will say there's a lifting up for me. So embrace the challenges. Choose to rise over your challenge and be careful about your conclusions. So the conclusion you have should be, no matter what is happening, I will rise over and above this challenge and I'm going to create the dream I have been given. It doesn't matter where you have been. It doesn't matter what may be up against you or what you might be up against. I strongly believe that the best is still ahead of you and the best of you is going to shine forth. We are waiting, and I'm waiting for the best that you have to give our world. It's been your friend saying, rise above your challenge and keep the right perspective. For when others are saying there's a casting down, you will say there is a lifting up for me. Bye for now, and God bless.